In the headlines, outrage over brazen daylight attack on an elderly man. The contest for the St. James North constituency continues on the campaign trail. The demand for work permits on the rise. And in sports, the primary school's netball competition bounced off today.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Tisha Hines with the details to the news. A brazen daylight robbery of an elderly man caught on camera is tonight being condemned by the Barbados Association of Retired Persons, or BARP. Making the rounds on social media, the elderly man is being beaten and robbed before the perpetrator makes off while the old man cries out for help. BARP President Marilyn Rice-Bowen says the incident is deeply concerning and highlights several critical issues in society, including safety and vulnerability of certain populations, particularly seniors.
Seniors often face physical challenges that may limit their ability to defend themselves or react quickly in dangerous situations. This, of course, makes them particularly vulnerable targets for criminals. The audacity of committing such a crime in broad daylight signals a growing disregard for public safety and can instill fear among community members. Incidents like this can create a sense of insecurity, prompting our residents, particularly these seniors, to restrict their movements and limit their social interaction, therefore affecting their quality of life. And part of our remit at BARP is to ensure that our seniors can lead lives of independence and dignity.
Ms. Rice-Bowen says BARP is confident the Barbados Police Service will apprehend the suspect. However, she stresses BARP's focus is on the victim.
We are standing by to offer counseling services to the gentleman. And we want to offer him our prayers and offer his family strength as well, because for family members to view this video, it has to be equally disturbing. We also want to appeal to policymakers for harsher penalties for crimes against seniors. It may deter criminals, but for sure, it will highlight the seriousness of these offenses.
It definitely was difficult to see. Meanwhile, Police Communications and Public Affairs Officer Inspector Ryan Brathwaite says they are aware of the incident and are conducting investigations into the matter. Now, police at District A station are conducting investigations into a shooting that occurred around 8:30 p.m. on Wednesday along Wharfdale Road in St. Michael. Investigations revealed that two males were outside a residence talking when they heard a number of gunshots. The men sought refuge in the house, and then one realized he was injured. He drove himself to a medical facility to seek urgent medical care. The injury is not life-threatening. Investigations into that matter are also continuing, and police are appealing to anyone who may have witnessed the incidents we talked about to contact the Crime Stoppers hotline at 1-800-8477. Police emergency at 211 or District A Police Station at 430-7242 or 430-7246. In the latest now from the campaign trail for the St. James North by-election, we're hearing that the Barbados Labour Party candidate Chad Blackman is expected to resume his portfolio as Minister of Educational Transformation following next Wednesday's by-election in the constituency. Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley, at a meeting in Ashton Hall, St. Peter, says she has all intention to reinstate Blackman after he had to resign to contest the seat. She also dispelled the narrative of the opposing Democratic Labour Party that since his resignation, the portfolio has been left vacant.
From the time before Chad Blackman resigned, I indicated that Sandra Husbands would be holding the portfolio for 2 weeks, I hope. And that thereafter, I would have the joy and honor. You know, to say if it was good once, imagine what it is twice. I will have the chance of appointing Chad for a second time. as Minister of Educational Transformation.
In his address, Blackman said he hopes his platform of vision, purpose, policies and clarity will be of great inspiration to young people who are interested in serving their country through politics. Speaking at a meeting at Ashton Hall, St. Peter last evening, hosted by the BLP's youth arm, the League of Young Socialists, where Blackman started his political career. He said were it not for the nurturing and guidance he gained as a teenager in the BLP's youth arm, the League of Young Socialists, he would not be where he is today. He has pledged to continue to support the youth, not only in the party, but in the constituency.
Part of my mandate to you and commitment to you is to ensure that as I come to you, I bring my background of humility, starting where these young people started. Speaking on platforms, going house to house, rolling up their sleeves and saying to you, this is the message of hope and prosperity for you in this country. This party is a party that has committed itself to ensuring that once you open their door for a young person, they don't only bring themselves and those around them, but they bring a wider community to ensure that they can create opportunities for everybody. That is the Barbados Labour Party way.
Among the BLP's youth arm members speaking on the night was President of the League of Young Socialists, Roshana Trim. She outlined the importance of statutory paternity leave and extended maternity leave, which will be introduced in Barbados from next month. The provision of 3 weeks of paternity leave and an increase from a 12-week period to 14 weeks for paternity leave, that's maternity leave, is part of reforms announced by government back in March during the 2025-2026 budgetary proposals and financial statements.
When we introduce paternity leave and for the first year, regardless of marital status, and extended maternity leave because we understand that it is not gendered, it meant that what we did was say that you as a family, whatever your family unit looks like, father and mother have a responsibility. And so we ensure that that is something that is given.
On the other side of the political divide, opposition leader Ralph Thorne is charging that more than $1 billion has been leaked from the National Insurance Scheme. He was addressing a political meeting at Yearwoods Road, Mount Stanford, St. James last night in support of candidate in the St. James North by-election, Felicia Dujon. He told party faithfuls who braved intermittent showers the money leak was due to anti-worker policies of the Barbados Labour Party government.
A lot of money is leaking. We are now up to $1.7 billion that this government has leaked from your national insurance. And you wonder why the people of this country can only now retire at 67 and they're sneaking it up to 70. These things are happening because of the direct policies of this government, the anti-worker policies of this government. That is why we're where we are tonight. And that is why there's so much suffering in Barbados. And that is why a lot of young men see no hope, see no future in this country.
The DLP candidate Dujon, as part of her address, contended that the sewage tax is a heavy burden on elderly constituents. And she says some of them have told her they're finding it very difficult to pay their water bills, through which the garbage and sewage contribution levy is collected. She is blaming the BLP government for the elderly having to struggle to pay those bills and to make ends meet.
These extra taxes are killing our constituents, especially the elderly.
That's right.
By the time they get the pension tax or the pension tax, they have to spend it on food, and we know the high cost of living already. And then they have to pay their bills, and then you're going to add sewage tax on their bill. I have met several elders in this constituency that no longer have running water at their homes because the bill is too high for them. This is how this government have been treating our foreparents of this country.
Now, in his contribution, DLP candidate for St. Michael's Southeast, Pedro Shepherd, criticized Mia Motley, or Prime Minister Mia Motley, for having a big cabinet. He says while in opposition, Prime Minister Motley accused the previous Democratic Labour Party administration of having a 16-member cabinet which needed to be trimmed. Shepherd was addressing a Democratic Labour Party spot meeting at Mount Stanford, St. James.
What was one of the first things done by that same lady who was opposition leader, now Prime Minister in waiting? Out of 30 parliamentary representatives, 25 were given cabinet positions. 25 were given cabinet positions. What a shame.
A construction boom in Barbados has resulted in an increase in demand for work permits. The disclosure was made by Senior Immigration Officer Jennifer Callender during a panel discussion of the Barbados Employers Confederation BEC luncheon on the topic Barbados, a brain drain nation or expat haven. Trevor Thorpe reports.
A cross-section of public and private sector officials attended the BEC luncheon. Noting that several international hotel chains have already started construction in Barbados, Senior Immigration Officer Jennifer Callender indicated that Barbados is not averse to companies seeking to recruit people from overseas.
We would have started with the recently finished Wyndham at Sam Lars Castle. They are currently constructed the Indigo Hotel on Hastings Main Road. I believe they've started the Hyatt in Bay Street. And there are several projects in the north as well. There's the Royalton Cheek and the Pendry Hotels, which are coming on stream. And there are other major projects in various stages of construction. For example, you have the geriatric hospital.
Those and other major projects have fueled a rise in demand for work permits.
In 2023, we had 2,194 applications for work permits. Of those, 237 were long-term and 1,414 were short-terms. While in 2024, we had a slight increase. We had 2,815 applications. From January to August 2024, there were 140 long-term work permits and 1,068 short-terms. From September to December, the data has not been aggregated, but there were an additional 1,600 applications.
She said a lack of skilled artisans in Barbados is among the reasons for developers having to look overseas.
What we are seeing is a lot of masons, carpenters, electricians, plumbers who are coming into Barbados because as this level of infrastructural work is beyond the scope of our local labor market, employers have had to import skilled workers, and they have mainly been from China, India, and Latin America, with the majority coming from Mexico, Colombia, and Cuba.
The immigration officer said before positions are filled by expatriates, the jobs must be advertised in the local media so as to give Barbadians the opportunity to apply should they be interested. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Thanks, Trevor. Work on the Bruceville Bridge in St. Andrew has been suspended. This is to allow the authorities to assess damage caused to the construction works, which were pounded by the downpour of heavy showers in recent days. Chief Executive Officer of Hague Communications Inc., Joyanne Hague, says work on the foundation started just 2 days before the heavy showers.
Work on the Bruceville Bridge actually started in January this year. And that was a combination of testing boreholes, then the demolition of the old bridge. We then started to do some work on the new bridge, and then we discovered some issues that we had to go back to design. And then we started back again on Thursday last week, a couple of days before the rain fell. Then we experienced this very heavy rainfall, and all of the prep work that we would have done basically was washed away.
Well, Hague says authorities will be looking at implementing measures to prevent further damage to the infrastructure in the event that there's more heavy rainfall.
But it's very difficult to predict given climate change. and that we're working on that right now. So the work has been suspended, pending now the assessment and the way forward. The pipes that you would have seen in the video floating down the riverside in the gullies, those were actually temporary pipes that were put in place to facilitate some drainage. So they weren't very secure, they were just there temporary.
There's been a steady increase in the number of young people signing up to join the Toastmasters Club and its youth leadership program. That's according to District Director Elka Price. She was speaking ahead of the club's conference, which is having its official opening tonight and runs until the 18th. It's being held under the theme Voices Amplified, Leaders Unified, Striding into the New Millennium. With 15 clubs throughout Barbados, Ms. Price explains many of the young people are selected by teachers throughout various youth programs, and some are left impressed with the results.
They were amazing. They came to the program and they were early. They said, I need to be on the list. I need to be on the list. Because when they realize after going through the program, they can. And the encouragement and the support is there to take them to the next level. When their parents came and they saw the development, it also helped them in their schoolwork because they're now able to stand up and speak up. I really don't understand. Remove yourself from the corner and just not understanding and can't get to the next level. Having done the program, you're now able to say, I really don't understand, and they can identify what aspect of the school lesson they don't understand and how they can get assistance to move to the next level.
Sports Night, brought to you with the compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL.
Time now for the first peek at sports with Anne-Marie Burke. Hey, Anne-Marie.
Hi, Tisha. Good evening and good evening to everyone. Let's start with news of cricket. As the anticipation continues to build around the announcement of a new Test captain for the West Indies team, Chief Executive Officer of Cricket West Indies, Chris Daring, assured that the selection process has been a thorough one so as to get the right person for the job. Daring, who also alluded that the announcement will be coming in short order, was a guest on CBC TV8's Morning Barbados.
We're going to be announcing our Test captain very soon. We've gone through a very thorough process, probably the first time in history, the kind of process that we've actually put our shortlisted candidates through, with interviews, with psychometric testing, etc. Everything to help them develop as leaders. I would have, as an executive, would have gone through similar processes. And our Test captain is probably one of the most important leaders of the region. And so you have to give everybody an opportunity who are leaders to develop. And so we have a great pool of talent to pick from, and we're excited about that announcement, which will be coming shortly.
With both the men's and women's sides set to embark on summer series within the coming weeks, a call is being made for fans to come out and support, starting with those right here in Barbados. As an incentive, children will get free admission to the games. More importantly, as both the men and women's teams are on missions to improve their international ranking, Darren said there has already been improvement.
You're definitely seeing a much more competitive West Indies team, and that's the beginning of a resurgence. You have to become competitive before you can become winning teams, and I think across the board, our ladies and our men are showing quite a bit of improvement.
These men will start with a tour of Ireland starting on May the 21st, the same day as the women start their T20 series with England at Canterbury. The much anticipated home Test series against Australia will bowl off on June 25th right here at Kensington Oval. Well, the West Indies women have slipped from 7th to 9th in the latest ICC Women's One International Team Rankings following the annual updated release yesterday. But they will be hoping to climb back up the standings with a strong showing in their upcoming series against England. The latest shuffle in the rankings sees the regional side fall behind Bangladesh and Pakistan after losing 10 rating points in the updated calculation, which now discounts matches played between October 2021 and April 2022, including the 2022 ICC Women's World Cup. This update has particularly hurt teams like the West Indies and South Africa, which made the knockout stages of that tournament, but now see those performances drop from the equation. Despite the rankings dip, the West Indies will look at their series in England as a crucial opportunity to reassert their ODI credentials, especially as the countdown to the major global events continues. A tidy performance on English soil could help them regain momentum and rebuild their position in the top tier of the international women's cricket. Blackman and Gollop, St. Jude's and Luther Thorne were all among the winners when the National Sports Council's primary schools netball competition began today at the Glebe St. George. CBC's Almar Goodrich Boyce reports.
Mother Nature finally allowed for primary school's netball action after 2 days of consistent rain. St. Jude's in black versus Cuthbert Moore. This was a low-scoring encounter. Rakia Scott is on target for St. Jude's, and the score ended 2-0 in favor of St. Jude's. Scott again on the money. The next match featured Luther Thorne and Blackman and Gollop in orange. That's Zanaya Smith with the game's first goal. Luther Thorne were really taking the game to Blackman and Gollop, especially early on. Smith again, this time she missed the shot, but no need to worry. Naomi Broom was there to sweep up the remains. It was one-way traffic. Luther Thorne at it again, and Smith was there. That's good. Blackman and Gollop got on the score sheet compliments Naomi Noel Gill, but that was in vain as Luther Thorne went on to win 5-1. And Mark Goodrich Boyce, CBC Sports.
The Business Report, brought to you with the compliments of Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
A love for human existence and for the development of skincare products, particularly for men, is what prompted Shalia Bell to start her own business. Trevor Thorpe sat down with the nail technologist and product formulator for tonight's Business Report.
The creator and nail tech says men are not left out of the portfolio, and she says she has carried out several tests on her products to allow men to be able to benefit from her expertise.
My products can be customized to both female. It's a unisex brand, so you can use my lotions. There's not a scent that would make you feel feminine. I have different scents, so I would choose the best scent based on the person that I'm dealing with.
Comfort and satisfaction are the watchword at Bell Loops Beauty.
For my services, I would like to say that you're very comfortable. So I offer manicures, pedicures. I do enhancement nails with gels and acrylics. So, and in that aspect, enhancement, I make you feel better. It's comfortable. In terms of my products, quality products.
The nail tech and formulator is looking for an export presence and is doing her homework in the run-up to spreading her wings.
The key thing is research as well as market research. So I do a lot of research online, and I do a lot of research on the markets to see, my competitors' products and stuff like that, and then I do my own research. I have a group of people that I would like to say that they're different skin types and stuff like that. So I would say, well, hey, Trevor, would you mind testing this for me? How does it work on your skin? And someone else with a different type of skin, I would say, well, hey, you mind testing this for me? Just to see, how it works best on the different skin types.
The nail tech and formulator says a rapport with clients is strengthening her resolve for the road ahead. Trevor Thorpe, The Business Report.
A major investment has been made to improve the financial health and literacy of vulnerable Barbadian families. The Barbados Public Workers Cooperative Credit Union Limited presented sponsorship of $12,000 to the Ministry of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs One Family program. The funds will be directly in support of the delivery of comprehensive financial counseling and management sessions to eligible families under the One Family program. Starting from June, the credit union union's trained financial wellness partners will work with the target families, covering topics including budgeting, saving, debt management, and setting achievable financial goals. Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs Kirk Humphrey says the program welcomes the credit union as a partner in the ongoing effort to promote financial literacy and empower at-risk Barbadian families with essential money management skills.
Instead of government paying for everything, or instead of government taking responsibility for everything, we've asked individuals and the private sector and the NGO movement to come forward and to support it. So every time we get support from the private sector or the NGO sector or the charitable sector, we are very, very thankful. And I am very, very thankful this morning to the credit union, the Barbados Public Workers Cooperative Credit Union Limited, for the support that they're giving us here with this $12,000 to be able to help these vulnerable families. I want to thank them because it says to me that they've seen the program that we have, they believe that the program makes sense, and it says to me, because I've been very clear, that any monies that come to this program, people must be able to see exactly where the money is gone. They should be able to trace it from the time it comes in to the families.
Meanwhile, the credit union's Chief Marketing and Customer Experience Officer, Gail Niles-Best, says the sponsorship forms part of the company's long-standing commitment to strengthening communities through education and financial empowerment.
Our particular sponsorship is not just about money. We are also sponsoring financial education workshops valued at over $1,000 to help those families on budgeting, financial planning, and basically steps in how to get their life in order and to help them get out of where they are now. We are pleased with this program because it really does offer the opportunity to be a sustainable development and growth opportunities for these two families. It's slightly different from our normal CSR activities, and that's why we are particularly pleased to participate in this one.
Sports Night, brought to you with the compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL.
Time for the second half of sports. Anne-Marie Burke is back.
Yes, Tisha, well, the National Sports Awards for 2024 are set to be held on May 23rd. Let's reflect on Barbados' sporting achievements for last year by looking at some of the athletes who had outstanding performances. The local sporting fraternity is gearing up for the upcoming National Sports Awards for 2024, where the island's outstanding athletes, administrators and support staff will be rewarded for their contributions over the past year. For me, there's some athletes who really stood out at both the youth and senior levels. Among the ladies, there's no disputing that Hayley Matthews is a front runner. Outside of the role of leading the West Indies side, Hayley was named in the ICC Women's 2024 Team of the Year. She held the top 5 ranking throughout the 12-month period and was able to play in her 100th Women's T20 International, reaching a milestone at the ICC Women's T20 World Cup. Looking at her stats, in ODI she made 469 runs, and in T20s 534. In the bowling, she took 9 wickets at an average of 29.9, while in T20s it was 14 wickets at an average of 27.1. Need I say more? Of course, there's the darling of track and field, Sade Williams, who started the 2024 season with a new national record of 22.59 seconds in the 200 meters. The spotlight then shone on her at the Paris Olympic Games, where she made the final of the women's 400 meters, and despite finishing 7th, brought joy to the hearts of Bajans. Our junior ladies also made waves. Sticking with track and field, Kishana Nell stormed onto the world stage, winning bronze at the Under-20 World Athletics Championships in Peru. If you want to see a glimpse of the future in track, Kishana is it, and that was her first major championship. Meanwhile, making a splash in the pool was Heidi Stout, as she created history for Barbados by winning bronze at the Commonwealth Youth Games. And she didn't stop there, as she snatched 9 Carifta gold medals, the most of any of the island swimmers at the Games. And there is Hannah Wilson, whose strategic moves have seen her conquer many an opponent in chess. The woman fight master claimed her 2nd national title in 2024. She also got bronze at the CARICOM Classic Chess Competition and went on to place in a number of regional competitions. On the golf course, Emily Odwin has put Barbados on the map, and in 2024 started by leading her SMU Mustangs team at the NCAA Championship. Her biggest achievement was a second place at the Women's Amateur Latin America Championships, and from then till now, she has kept pressing on. Might I add that only a few weeks ago she qualified for her first golf major, but of course that falls into this year's achievements. And let's now look at the male side of things. Triathlete Finn Armstrong was a gold medalist at the 2024 Crafter Triathlon, Aquathlon and Mixed Relay Championship. As a junior, he has overall stats of 10 starts, 5 podiums, 3 of them wins. Finn for sure has shown the endurance to walk in the footsteps of this next athlete, Matthew Wright, who gets a place in my spotlight for attaining his goal of being an Olympian. Paris 2024 saw him finish 34th, but he will be remembered as only the second Barbadian to compete in an Olympic triathlon in the blue, yellow and black. The highlight of the island's top triathlete, however, was right here on home soil, where he finished second in the America's Cup. And let's head to the football field, where the name Niall Reid-Stephen was on the tip of the tongues of Bajans. Outside of his masterful showing in the Prime Minister's Cup, it was his national duty that gave us all the feels. He was the Trident's top goal scorer, 8 goals in 8 national appearances. But one might agree, when aligned against the world's best player, Messi, that's when the stakes get higher. So when he was ranked second in the October international scoring stats, now you know that is class. And Justin Graves is my pick from cricket to highlight. Why? He had a great first-class season and made an impact as he gained his West Indies cap. He made his Test debut in January of 2024 against Australia and was selected in West Indies ODI squad for the series against Australia. His first Test match century came against Bangladesh and Antigua in November of 2024, making 115 not out. His talent has not gone unnoticed, as his name has now been thrown in the hat for the West Indies Test captaincy. While I have highlighted just some of the outstanding athletes for 2024, the awards, which are set for May 23rd, will reward the efforts of the men and women who keep sport alive on the island and on the world stage.
And that's news. Thank you so much for spending the time with us. On behalf of the entire crew, do enjoy the rest of your evening.